For the first video reviewing Formula 1 2016, we'll talk about the handling of the cars. It's a bit of a broad topic, so I'll need at least a couple of videos to cover this with the level of detail I want. Very often, you can hear and read these games are simcade or have simplified handling models, but at the same time, no one actually explains how or why. The goal of this first batch of videos will be exactly that, explaining the things the game nails and where there are details that keep it away from other games with a more serious approach. This first video will be about the biggest change I could notice coming from older games, and that's the way the car behaves on traction zones. The cars have changed a lot since the last time I owned a Formula 1 game, and this is easily the biggest difference I could notice right away. The new engines and the 8-speed gearboxes make a huge difference when it's time to put the power down, so let's start there. Modern Formula 1 turbo engines might be smaller than before, but they're still very powerful. On top of that, they produce much higher torque than the previous V8 engines. That makes them far more tricky on traction zones as they deliver the power very fast. These engines are fuel limited at high revs, so there's no point squeezing all the revs and going to the red line. The LED lights on the wheel are already optimized for that, and as soon as the blue light turns on, you should go up the gears. Even if you can hear the revs building up if you don't shift early, and there's still a good while until you hit the limiter, using that last part of the power curve it's not a good idea. It's not efficient and it's not any faster. It's easy getting used to the way you have to shift once you are not traction limited, but putting the power down is another story. With the old V8 engines, in a dry track, you were flat out as soon as you could use third gear. Now you can get wheel spin even in fifth gear. The way you pick up the throttle is critical for your lap times, and corner exit importance is even higher than before. Let's go on board to see it. In the top right corner of the screen, you can see the delta to the best lap time. We'll keep an eye on that over the lap. I'm going to get a poor exit on the last hairpin, and look at how fast the delta goes up. It was just a very small lift on the outside curve, but look at how much time even a small mistake on the throttle will cost you. Now the opposite example. I go into turn 1 a bit too hot, but I hit a late apex and get a great run out of turn 2. Zero wheel spin early on the power and the delta goes down very fast. Throttle control and lines that favor a fast exit are a must in this game. Now we get to a faster zone of the track, and you'll be able to see how you can get wheel spin out of fast corners too. I'm going to mess up out of turns 7 and 8 and I'll need to correct the rear. It will happen in 5th gear, close to 200 km per hour. Now let's stop for a second to explain another detail. Keeping a high minimum speed in the apex is vital too. If you heard about the traction pit, these cars are a perfect example of it. The lower your speed drops, the harder it is to get the car moving again, so it's a bad idea stopping the car too much on the apex. I've been doing this turn in third gear for a while, and this time I try second gear. I slow down a bit too much, and even if I get a better line out of the turn, I struggle to get the car moving again up the hill without the rear going crazy. You can see in the delta that this idea did not work. For the rest of the lap there are 2 slow corners to go. They will show perfectly the importance of a good corner exit in this game. I will mess up on the way out of the first one, keep an eye on the delta. Now, I will lose time all the way down the next straight because of that small mistake. The last hairpin goes much better, and the gains are obvious again. Even without using all the width of the track on corner exit, my throttle control is much better this time, and the delta goes down. I will say that, in this aspect, the game is pretty accurate. Just by watching the real Formula 1 the last couple of years, you can notice how long they take to get full throttle, especially on old tires, and how much time it costs the drivers when they get wheel spin. I like what they did here. However, when things get real ugly and you lose the car big time, things change a lot. the game gives you a helping hand, and you get away with things that should put you in the wall. It's hard to explain with words, so let's see some examples. First, let's see this one, into Melbourne Turn 3. In slow motion, you can see that I use way too much throttle out of the corner, and the car starts rotating to the right very fast. But, just lifting a fraction and making a very lazy correction, the car is planted again. It doesn't feel natural at all. Let's see another one in the same section but in turn 5 this time. This will look like a brilliant safe life. But if we slow it down, we can see it was bullshit. The rear goes very light as I turn in, and the inside curve puts me on a big slide. I underestimate the slide and I take ages to correct it. When I finally stop the slide, it's too late. The car swings to the left, rotating very fast. At this point, I think there's no hope. I am not even going to make a big effort to save it. Just look at how little lock I will use to the right. And to my surprise, the car is balanced again. The worst part is that the second move comes mostly from the force feedback itself. I barely did anything. Let's have a last look. Here I stopped the first slide by going almost full lock. At this point the front regains grip and an even bigger slide starts towards the other side. And this one is going to be neutralized by a very small move from me. I was honestly ready to let the wheel go and the game saved this one for me. Now let's compare it with a similar incident in Project Cars, first at normal speed. Now let's see it on slow motion. It's the same story as before. I slide, I underestimate it, and I take too long to catch it. When I do catch it, it's too late, and the car spears to the other side. There's one difference. This time I do try to catch the second slide. I'll go full lock left as fast as my hands can. I am trying my best to actually stop the spin. But this time the game won't save me. If you drop it, too bad. Of course, it's not a perfect example. Every situation is different, and I'm on the grass soon after the second correction. But the point I want to make here is that Formula 1 is more forgiving over the limit. On a general note, I will say I'm still satisfied with how the car behaves on traction in this game. Wheel spin is slow, and starting to slide is very easy if you put a foot to ground. It's only when things get real ugly when I feel it's maybe a bit too lenient. The car doesn't feel as stiff and treacherous as you would expect once you lose control. It feels a bit floaty and it comes back from crazy situations. And that's all for this video. Stay tuned for more pieces of the review, and as always, thanks a lot for watching.